president's car is now turning onto Elm Street, and it will be only a matter of minutes before he arrives at the trademark.
One claim that conspiracists often make about the Kennedy assassination is that a second person was spotted on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository minutes before the shooting, proof they claim of a conspiracy. I'm Paul Brandus, author of Countdown to Dallas, and just minutes before the shooting, there was indeed a second person on the 6th floor, just steps from Lee Harvey Oswald and his sniper's perch. But this does not mean there was a conspiracy. Here now, the rest of the story. Around 5 minutes to 12, the Kennedy motorcade was underway, headed for downtown Dallas. At the depository, employees, excited that the president would soon pass by, knocked off early for lunch. As he was heading downstairs, one employee, Bonnie Ray Williams, said he saw Oswald on the 5th or 6th floor. He wasn't sure which. But moments later, another employee, Charles Givens, went to the 6th floor to get his cigarettes. There he saw Oswald. They had a brief conversation. Givens said, "Aren't you going downstairs? It's near lunchtime." Oswald, "No, sir." Givens left. Now, minutes after that brief encounter, Bonnie Ray Williams also returned to the 6th floor. Why? To watch the presidential motorcade. At the time, everyone was talking like they was going to watch from the 6th floor, Williams testified. And while he waited for his buddies, Williams ate his lunch, a chicken sandwich and bottle of Dr. Pepper. He remembers sitting in front of the 3rd or 4th window. Williams recalled, quote, "I couldn't see too much of the 6th floor because the books at this time were stacked so high. If there was anyone else up there on the 6th floor, Williams neither saw nor heard anyone." Now here's where it gets interesting. Down on Houston Street, a young man, Arnold Rowland, was standing with his wife, Barbara. Looking around, his eyes drifted up to the 6th floor of the depository. There, in the corner window, he saw a man holding a rifle with a telescopic sight. Rowland assumed that this was a Secret Service agent there to protect the president, so it never occurred to him to point this man out to a nearby police officer. But Oswald was not the only person Rowland saw on the 6th floor. His wandering eye also saw what he described as, quote, "a colored man a few windows away." This was Bonnie Ray Williams eating his lunch. Now, the other guys that he was going to watch the parade with, James Jarman and Harold Norman were their names, had earlier been down on the sidewalk, but decided the view would be better from the 5th floor of the depository. Why the 5th floor? Because the 6th floor, here shown that day, was a jungle of boxes. By now, as Jarman recalled, it's between 12:20 and 12:25, just minutes before the assassination. They were soon joined by Williams, who had finished his lunch, leaving this greasy bag and empty soda bottle near the window. Bonnie Ray Williams had been so close to Oswald while he ate that police and the media later thought the garbage had been Oswald's. A month after the assassination, this book, published by United Press International and American Heritage, repeated this mistake, writing in the caption, quote, "The sniper had dined on fried chicken and pop while waiting patiently to shoot the president," one report said. Wrong. But it does show just how close, how tantalizingly close, Bonnie Ray Williams sat to the man who was about to murder the president. This proximity helps explain why two other men on the street, here at the southwest corner of Houston and Elm, saw Oswald sitting perfectly still. Their names, Bob Edwards and Ronald Fisher. Moments before the motorcade appeared, Edwards, spotting Oswald, told Fisher, quote, "Look at that guy there in that window. He looks like he's uncomfortable," or words to that effect. Fisher chimed in, quote, "This man held my attention for 10 or 15 seconds. All the time I watched him, he never moved his head. He never moved anything, just was there transfixed. He looked to be 22 or 24 years old." It's likely that Oswald, who was 24, never moved because Bonnie Ray Williams, as we've established, was just feet away eating his lunch. Meanwhile, Oswald was also seen by yet another man who sat here, tantalizingly close to the window. His name was Howard Brennan. Here's Brennan at that spot in a recreation of November 22nd. He saw Oswald in the 6th floor window right above James Jarman, Harold Norman, and Bonnie Ray Williams, who had by now joined his buddies on the 5th floor. Quote, "I saw this man on the 6th floor," Brennan later testified. He added, quote, "There was no other person on that floor that ever came to the window that I noticed. There were people on the next floor down, which is the 5th floor, colored guys." The time frame here is about 12:22, which lines up with the Williams testimony. Brennan could give exact times because from his vantage point, he could see the big clock, the famous Hertz sign that in 1963 stood on the roof of the depository. Now, let's go back to Ronald Fisher. About 30 seconds before the shooting, 30 seconds, Fisher looked up again. An affidavit he gave to Dallas police that very day said, quote, "I looked up at the window and noticed that he seemed to be laying down or in a funny position anyway, because all I could see was his head. When the presidential car turned left onto Elm Street, there was but one person on the 6th floor, here in the southeast corner window, not two, as some conspirators have alleged. And now you know the rest of the story." More stories on the assassination and the events leading up to it in my latest book, Countdown to Dallas, available everywhere books are sold. There's also a Countdown to Dallas podcast produced by Evergreen Podcasting that is also available everywhere.